It's Halloween season, and there's usually a whole bunch of horror movies or scary movies that people want to watch. For me, I tend to rewatch some of the older stuff I watched as a kid, and for this video, I was technically going to try to do that. The first film I was going to watch was Don't Look Under the Bed, but then upon watching the movie, even though it is considered the scariest kid film ever on Disney or something,
leave the light on. Keep the door open.
there's nothing really much to talk about other than it's a really good film, but I felt like I probably would save it for another day to talk about that. The second thing I was going to talk about was the TV show So Weird. It's a 3-season run on Disney Channel where you follow this girl named Fee dealing with the paranormal with her family, and I'm still in the middle of season 3, and this is another thing I would rather talk about during another time. There's just so much cool stuff with this show. The last one I was going to talk about was Phantom of the Megaplex, which is also a Disney Channel film, but it wasn't really scary. It's cute. It's actually really fun. The whole film centering around a movie theater was really enjoyable, even for a kid's film. But there is one that not too many people know about, and it's really weird because I grew up with this, and anytime I talked about it, most of my friends looked at me like a crazy person, like, are you referring to Slappy from Goosebumps? Are you talking about Chucky from Child's Play? No. The film I'm talking about is My Teacher Ate My Homework. My Teacher Ate My Homework is part of a series from Showtime, which is called The Shadow Zone.
In the Shadow Zone. I live here.
Shadow Zone was basically a Showtime's version of a kids' horror anthology show, kind of like how Nickelodeon had Are You Afraid of the Dark, Fox Kids had Goosebumps, and Disney had So Weird.
Welcome to the Shadow Zone.
Marcus James Trilbury, what are you doing out here in the...
This movie has the weirdest cover ever. Okay, it's not the weirdest cover, but it's the most misleading. Much like Troll 2, where you have a little kid in the cover that's not even in the film, and a little troll doll, and a demonic-looking monster that never shows up in that film. The cover had the teacher looking old and like a zombie. The little girl kind of looks like the girl in the movie, but everyone else, it's not even in it. The movie stars Gregory Smith as Jesse. You might know him from Small Soldiers, Kids in America, or like Everwood or whatever stuff. I never watched that. He starts as a kid who has problems with his teacher because, you know, she gives him too much homework. But this kid's like the everyday kid, you know, dealing with a lot of stuff at home, dealing a lot with homework. He finds a doll. It's like Goosebumps, but a lot more darker. Like the doll looks really weird. The dress of the doll looks like bones. It just looks creepy. The store owner gives it to him out of anger.
What are you doing with that? That is not for sale. Give it to me. You really want it? Then take it. Take it and get out.
The doll becomes more of a voodoo thing at first. Like any injury that happens to the doll happens to the teacher.
Voodoo for real. Bad stuff. Bad stuff.
And then after a while, the doll, well, comes to life.
It's like looking in a mirror, isn't it?
It looks creepy as heck. One could complain that the way it mouths its words doesn't really go perfect.
She should have used the ladder.
Give me just half a second. What the
The teacher's name is Mrs. Fink, played by Shelley Duvall, who a lot of people know from The Shining. And she also lends the voice of the doll because since it's a voodoo doll, it also steals her voice. It's very weird.
Voodoo for real.
Usually in these type of stories, at least for kids, you know, usually the aspect of a doll becoming alive is a lot more played down. Like, oh, it's magic. Oh, it's not really that big a deal. But for some reason in this film, they really go into the whole voodoo-esque part of it. Like, they have to do this ritual, and it kind of seemed off to me. Obviously, the graphics when they're doing the ritual to separate the teacher and the doll, whatever. You know, it's a little cheap. Amongst all the stuff that I'm saying, the movie is really creepy. Whenever the doll comes out, it really does freak me out. It still does.
What the hell is that?
If it wasn't part of this Shadow Zone thing, I would expect this to be a Goosebumps type film. I guess with a better budget and maybe like a few more creepy scenes, I think this would have been a really cool theatrical film. You could technically watch this film on Tubi TV. I never used it, but that's the only place I could find that has the film. You know, it's a kid's film. It ain't gonna be no Exorcist or Trick or Treat classic or anything. But if you're into that whole old school, you know, horror thing, kind of like, you know, like the Haunted Mask and Goosebumps, or how like some of the creepy episodes and So Weird, I highly recommend this. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, so it is practically a whole movie. That's the only thing I think of for this Halloween season, so I highly recommend this film. Go check it out on Tubi TV. And yeah, happy Halloween, whatever, and bye.
Are we gonna listen to that all the way to St. Jude?
Whales sing to each other when they talk. Did you know that?
Cool.
Go!